Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something from the heart. Sometimes silence is louder than any argument, louder than any goodbye. When a woman decides to move on without saying a word, that's silence. Oh, that's silence. It echoes in a man's soul. Silence is a language. It's not empty. It's full of emotions, full of meaning, full of weight. When someone chooses to walk away in silence, especially after investing their heart and time into someone, it speaks louder than shouting, louder than tears, louder than any final fight. That kind of silence has power. It doesn't come from weakness. It comes from strength. It comes from a place where the person has cried enough, pleaded enough, explained enough, and reached a point where they realize their words are no longer useful. You can't explain your worth to someone who's not ready to understand it. You can't force someone to listen when they've already decided your feelings are too loud for their comfort. So eventually, silence becomes the final sentence in a story full of unheard emotions. In relationships, especially between men and women, confrontation is often expected. People think that the end comes with yelling, crying, or slamming doors. But real endings, deep emotional endings, are often quiet. They come in the form of unread messages, unanswered calls, and that one day when she doesn't show up the way she used to. She stops asking how your day went. She stops reminding you to eat. She stops checking in. And when that silence replaces her attention, it hits in waves. Because at first you might not even notice. You might think she's just giving you space, or maybe she's busy. But then you realize it's been days, maybe weeks. And there's no text, no call, no confrontation, nothing. And that nothing is where the pain begins. It's where reflection starts. A man begins to remember all the moments she tried to communicate, all the ways she gave love, all the times she fought for something he didn't even realize he was losing. See, confrontation gives closure. It gives you something to hold on to, something to fight against. But silence gives you a mirror. It forces you to look at yourself and ask why she felt that silence was the only option left. Why didn't she yell? Why didn't she cry? Why didn't she explain? Because she already did all of that. You just weren't listening. You didn't take her seriously. You thought she'd always be there, always come back, always forgive. But silence means she gave up on convincing you. It means she chose peace over chaos. And that peace didn't include you anymore. That's why emotional silence is more powerful than confrontation. It doesn't ask for your attention, it takes it. It doesn't demand respect, it earns it by absence. It leaves no room for arguments, no chance for justifications. It stands still and makes you feel everything you didn't feel when she was trying. And by the time you understand it, it's already too late. She's gone. And she didn't even have to say a word. Pride is often the armor men wear to hide what they truly feel. It's not because they don't feel deeply. Oh, they do. But society teaches men from a young age that emotion is weakness, that vulnerability makes them less of a man. So instead of saying, I'm hurt, they'll say, I'm fine. Instead of saying, I miss her, they'll pretend they're better off without her. Instead of chasing love, they chase distractions, and all the while their hearts are breaking in silence. A man can love a woman with everything he's got and still lose her because of pride. They leave emotionally first, slowly, step by step. They disconnect while still physically being there. They go quiet, not because they have nothing to say, but because they've already said it so many times. And when she finally stops talking, when she stops explaining, a man starts noticing that pride convinces him to wait for her to make the first move. Even when he's the one who pushed her away, it tells him she'll come back. She always does, but not this time. Not when she's finally chosen to move on. And when that realization hits, when he truly understands that she's not coming back, that's when the pride turns into regret. That's when the mask starts slipping. That's when he stops pretending and starts feeling. But by then, he's alone with his emotions, with no one to share them with. No one to hear the "I'm sorry" that should have come sooner. No one to hold when the silence feels too heavy. Pride robs a man of peace. It takes away his chances to heal, to grow, to love fully. It builds walls where there should have been bridges. And it doesn't just hurt him, it hurts the one who waited for him to open up, who hoped he would choose love over ego. Many men don't realize how deep their emotions run until they've lost the one person who saw through all the masks. And when that person leaves, without drama, without goodbyes, just gone, that's when it all floods in. The love he didn't show, the words he didn't say, the apologies he never gave, all buried under layers of pride. And that's the tragedy. Not that he didn't feel, but that he felt everything and chose to hide it behind a smile. When a woman chooses to leave without making a scene, without yelling or demanding answers, it doesn't mean she feels nothing. It means she's felt everything already. She's gone through every emotion, every disappointment, every silent tear behind closed doors. And by the time she walks away quietly, she's already mourned the relationship while she was still in it. Her silence is not coldness, it's clarity. It's her realizing that staying would cost her more than leaving ever will. And that quiet departure, it's not weak. It's one of the strongest things a woman can do. Most people expect breakups to be loud, arguments, slam doors, long text, one last fight. But when she simply stops showing up emotionally, when she stops replying, stops caring, stops asking, you should know she's already done all of that before. She fought for it. She gave chances. She forgave things she never even brought up. But there comes a point when she gets tired of repeating herself. She gets tired of justifying her feelings, tired of being made to feel like she's too much, too emotional, too sensitive. So one day, she just chooses peace. And that peace requires distance. Her quiet departure speaks to how deep her pain went. She didn't leave to make him feel guilty. She didn't leave to manipulate him. She left because she had to choose herself. Finally, after giving and hoping for something to change, she realized the only thing she could change was her own direction. And when she finally leaves, it's not just a change of physical space, it's a shift in energy, in mindset, in heart. She no longer carries the weight of trying to be enough for someone who never saw her worth. In the silence she leaves behind, it lingers. It stays in the room like a ghost. Her absence becomes louder than her presence ever was. You feel it in the empty spaces she used to feel, in the way the phone no longer lights up with her name, in the quiet moments where her laughter used to live. That silence begins to echo, and it's in those echoes that the truth finally hits. She was never asking for too much. She was asking the wrong person. A woman's quiet departure doesn't need explanations. It doesn't need closure. It's a statement in itself. It says, I tried. It says, I waited. It says, I deserve more, and I'm done settling. And for the man who never saw it coming, it shakes him to his core. Because he was used to her fighting. He was used to her forgiving. He thought she'd always stay, even when she was hurting. He didn't understand that silence is not indifference. It's the result of too many ignored chances. By the time he realizes what that silence really means, it's already too late. She's not just gone from his life. She's healed from the part of her that used to wait for him. Her quiet exit may not make noise, but it leaves a silence that screams everything he refused to hear. There's something deeply unsettling about being left without a single word. No text, no call, no explanation, just silence. And at first it might not seem like a big deal. You might assume she's just upset. You tell yourself she'll come around, but this is just a phase. You convince yourself that there's nothing really wrong. But days turn into weeks and still nothing. And that's when it hits you. That's when the realization creeps in and knocks the wind out of your chest. Not because she left, but because she left without saying why. When someone walks away and slams the door, at least you know it's over. You've got an ending point. You've got something to react to argue with, to dissect. You know what went wrong, or at least you think you do. But when she leaves in silence, she leaves you with a question mark that never fades. You start questioning everything. Was it something I said? Something I didn't say? Did she stop loving me? Has she ever loved me? You're stuck in a loop with no answers. And that's what eats away at you the most. See, when a woman leaves without giving a reason, it's not because there isn't one. It's because she already gave it. Maybe not once, maybe not twice, but over and over again. In small ways, in soft voices, in quiet tears. But you weren't paying attention. You thought she'd always be there. You thought she was just emotional. You thought love was enough to hold her in place even if you stopped trying. And now, when you're finally ready to listen, she's gone and she took the words with her. That's why the realization hits so hard, because you're no longer fighting for the relationship. You're fighting with your own guilt. You start seeing the moments you ignored, the things you brushed off, the night she cried and said she felt alone even when she was lying right next to you. And it all comes rushing in at once. You can't even apologize properly because she's not around to hear it. You can't ask for clarity because the moment for that is long gone. All you're left with is silence and 100 things you wish you'd done differently. The hardest part is that you didn't even get to say goodbye. You didn't get the chance to make it right, or at least to hear her say that she's done. She just disappeared from your world, and that absence becomes the loudest sound in your life. The realization that someone can be so hurt, so tired, and so emotionally exhausted that they no longer feel the need to explain themselves, that cuts deep because it shows just how far gone they were before you even noticed they were slipping away. And so the truth doesn't come from her lips, it comes from the quiet. And in that quiet, you hear everything you chose to ignore. That's when it finally hits. And it hits harder than you ever imagined. When someone moves on without saying a single word, it creates a space, an empty silence. that can't be ignored. And in that space, something powerful happens. Reflection. The kind of deep, honest reflection that doesn't come when you're busy defending yourself or arguing back and forth. See, when someone walks away quietly, there's nothing left to fight. There's no shouting, no drama, no final conversation to hang on to. It's just space, stillness, emptiness. And that's when the mind starts talking louder than it ever did before. You begin to think, really think. You think about the moments you took for granted, the time she showed up for you even when she was breaking inside, the small acts of love you overlooked, the arguments where you chose to win instead of understand. You remember the way her voice changed when she was tired of repeating herself, how her texts got shorter, how her smile started fading day by day. You start seeing all the signs you ignore, and without her there to explain them again, you finally start to understand what they meant. That's what happens in silence. You get a front row seat to your own behavior. No more distractions, no more excuses, just the truth staring you in the face. And sometimes it hurts more than any goodbye ever could. Because you start to realize it wasn't just about what she said, it was about what she felt. And you never took the time to truly feel it with her. And she did it without a final word because none were needed. That's when regret creeps in. Not just because you lost her, but because you realize how preventable it all was. You could have listened more, loved her better, paid more attention. But pride, ego, comfort, they all got in the way. And now the silence she left behind is forcing you to face that, to sit with it, to grow from it, if you're willing. Because that's the thing about someone leaving without a word. They're not just leaving you behind. They're giving you a chance to meet yourself in a way you never had. You begin to see her strength too. It takes strength to walk away without causing damage. It takes peace to exit quietly. And the fact that she didn't try to hurt you on her way out only adds weight to your reflection. She left with grace. And now in her absence, you start to reflect not only on what you lost, but on who you were when you had her, and who you need to become if you ever want to hold on to love again. That's the power of someone moving on without words. It doesn't create a storm, it creates a mirror. One that doesn't just show you what happened, but who you were, what you missed, and what you still carry. That silence forces you to face yourself. And that, more than anything, changes you. It's a strange thing how we don't always see the value of something while we still have it. We get comfortable. We assume people will always be there. We take routines for granted. We stop saying thank you. We stop noticing the little things that once made our hearts full. And then one day they're gone, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, completely. And that's when the weight of their absence hits in a way nothing else ever could. That's when you realize that everything you overlooked was everything you truly needed. When someone gives you their love day in and day out, it becomes a part of your world, almost like air. You don't notice it. You just breathe it in. You don't pause to appreciate it because it's always there. She listens to your stories, even the ones you've told before. She asks if you've eaten. She remembers the small things, like how you like your coffee, or the way you need silence to think. And because she does it so consistently, you forget it's a choice she's making every single day. To show up, to care, to stay. And then one day, she doesn't. You wake up, and she's not texting him. She's not calling to check in. She's not asking about your day or reminding you of your appointments. At first, you think she's just busy, maybe having a bad day, maybe she needs space. But soon you realize she's not coming back. Not because she stopped loving you overnight, but because she finally realized you never truly valued her the way she deserved. She was giving everything while getting less and less in return. And when you don't water a flower, it wilts. That's what happened to her love. It wilted slowly, and you didn't even notice. Now you look around and everything reminds you of her. Her favorite song plays, and it doesn't sound the same. You pass by her favorite coffee shop and your stomach turns. You find an old message from her, and it hits you. You didn't lose someone ordinary, you lost someone rare. Someone who loved you through your mood,